And everybody needs to please mute themselves as you come on. It's going to be kind of hard, but.
Yeah, okay. Well, hi everybody, this is Samara. It's January 1st, 2020, and you are about to receive some amazing information from Mother Mary. So first of all, I just want to welcome you. I want you to know that your presence is appreciated. It touches my heart so deeply to see each and every one of you, and it's a way for us to be together and to share in these energies and to allow ourselves to really, really sort of create an amalgam, an alchemy of light for each other and for ourselves in this life. And so what I would like to say before I go on is that each and every one of you is so important. One of the very first channelings I did more than 20 years ago was to the Madonna Ministry. And we were all sitting in a circle, and I stood up for the first time, kind of shaky and kind of nervous to be in a group of people and trying to channel. And Mother Mary came through and looked around the room and said, "There are no lesser lights." And I think at that moment, I felt like, well, what do you mean? You know, you've got people, the Dalai Lama, you know, your Mother Teresa, you know, aren't these greater lights? And she said, no, everyone has a role to play. And if you are thinking in your own life that somehow your light is not as bright as so-and-so's or this one or that one, there are no lesser lights. It's our own experience of ourselves. And so what Mother Mary was talking about rolled from really last month's discussion. If you missed it, it is on my Facebook page, Mother Mary Messages. What Mother Mary said is that when we engage with the universe and think of it kind of as the genie in the bottle, and we ask for what we're really, in our hearts, we're really feeling is right for us, the genie says, as you wish, right? And so if we think, oh, I don't have enough money, the genie says, well, as you wish. There's no money. If you say, boy, I'd like that job, but I don't know, it's, you know, I don't know if I have the skills for it, the genie says, as you wish. And, you know, the job doesn't materialize, or you maybe have the job and it doesn't, you would like it to. So one of the things that I think is coming up for some people who wrote me after that, they said, well, you know, I've had this beautiful burning desire. I pray, I meditate, I send Reiki. How come it's not here for me? Like, you know, what am I doing wrong? And so I went to Mother Mary and I asked her about that. I said, you know, what is it that keeps people from having what's in their hearts, what's really important to them and what really matters? Because my desire is to be a clear channel, but also to kind of unravel whatever's in the way of people being happy and enjoying their lives and having what's important to them. And so rather than me, Samara, telling you what Mother Mary said, I want to just take a moment and bring Mother Mary in for all of you that are wondering how to have an even more spectacular 2020 and maybe to have it be the best year of your life yet, and then getting better from there. So welcome everybody, and just take a moment if you haven't already and mute yourself, please, as you enter. I'm going to mute a couple people there. And imagine 2020 coming into view exactly as you would love it to be, and listen to what Mother Mary says about why and how that might be manifesting for you. Well, my beloved, beautiful, beautiful people, all of you, happy, happy New Year. Yes, I want all of you to have what is in your hearts, what is in your minds, what is in your bodies, what is in your path, what is in your destiny. And I want it to happen with as much ease and grace as possible. And I want you to know that whatever obstacles you might feel are in your way are never a punishment. There is no such thing as us wanting to punish you. It might feel like a punishment. I'm not denying, I'm not taking away what happens sometimes for people. But I want you to really understand the whole process of manifestation so you can hopefully become even better at manifesting what is important to you. The first thing to realize is that your soul has a destiny. Your soul has a destiny. Now, that is not the same as a resume. Your soul has a destiny. It came to this planet to flourish, to create, to join, to be, and ultimately to come home to us spent with joy. Having had all the joy you could possibly have, having been a blessing, having loved, etc., etc. So your soul has a destiny. The challenge is that right now, for many of you, your mind and your body have a density. So here's your destiny sort of floating around the crown chakra saying, hello, 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 hello. But meanwhile, your body and your mind, your everyday, what some call your ego mind, have a density that is at odds with your destiny. So that's the simple way to understand why when you pray for this, sometimes you get that. Or when you wish so much for this to occur, but that happens. It's like, what's the deal here? What's the problem? And so the answer really is to understand that there's nothing wrong with you, but it's time to align your destiny by excavating your density. So you must become a little bit like the archaeologist on a dig, right? To realize I'm still holding beliefs about myself, my capacity, my possibilities, my wealth, my vitality, that are somehow keeping me more contained, more held, more constricted, if you will, than my ultimate destiny would like it to be. Now, that's pretty clear so far, and I hear people saying, okay, I got that, Mother Mary. What do I do? How do I excavate my density, right? What do I do? And for each and every one of you, there are going to be slightly different things that really work for you, because all of you have had different experiences, different families, different belief systems, different lifestyles, etc., etc. And so what starts to happen is that your remedies, if you will, what would bring you back into some level of clarity and understanding would be different than what might be true for someone else. So I just want you to understand that. But the bottom line is pretty simple. The bottom line is that the frequency of your destiny and the frequency of your density, that's the discrepancy or the disparity that must be traversed. So you have to find a way to move out of your density and closer to the frequency of your destiny. Now, for many people, meditation helps. For others, it's like, oh, please, Mother Mary, don't tell me to go meditate. I will just rip my hair out. Then please don't. For some people, it's beloved animals, having a dog or a cat or a bird or several of those that you just feel this unconditional love from. And the transmission of that love between you and your animals actually does shift your frequency, allowing you to be closer and closer to what I would call unconditional love, which is the frequency at which your destiny is riding right above you. For other people, it's being out in nature, hiking, walking in the beauty, kissing and hugging a tree, looking at flowers and the ocean, you know, all of that. Because again, nature in its untrammeled aspect lives at the frequency, the same kind of frequency as your joyous destiny. So being out in nature is often very, very helpful to raising your frequency. For many people, they've become involved in energy work like Reiki and various things like that. That too is incredibly beneficial, especially if you remember to give it to yourself. Yeah, I got a few of you on that. It's wonderful to give it to others, don't get me wrong. But even today, you know, before Samara was doing our call, I said, okay, go lay down and give yourself Reiki for 20 minutes. You don't always have an hour, and that's fine, but whatever. So when you give Reiki to others, it's beautiful. When you give Reiki to yourself, you're attending to your frequency. You're recognizing that perhaps you're a little low on fuel. And so you're giving it to yourself and raising your frequency in that process. For other people, it's music. And so they can play songs that inspire them, songs that deliver a certain level of comfort, songs that make your body move and shake with joy, and you just can't contain yourself. So the liberation of music is also raising your frequency. One of the powerful things I want to deliver to you now here in 2020 is above and beyond all of that is what is your mind telling you? And that, my beautiful, beautiful ones, is, I want to say it's sort of the tap root. The tap root is what your mind is saying to you. And often this part of your mind is saying, oh, don't bother, or you can't, or this is what the doctor said, or, you know, all of these limiting ideas. It could be that you had a very cruel mother or father. It could be that your teacher told you you were stupid. It could be any number of things. But now, as grown-ups, it's like, okay, it's time to move on and realize the mind that keeps saying to you, you're not good enough, don't bother, don't try, etc., overrides all of the other good things you're trying to do. So how do we shift the dialogue in the mind, right? So we've gone out in nature, we've done some journaling, we've had a beautiful cup of tea. What do we do with the mind? Well, 2020, it's time to download a new program. Just as so many of you have gone through the computer technology revolutions, you know, first we have Windows whatever, and now we're up to, I don't know, Windows whatever it is, doesn't matter. And each time it's like, oh my God, I have to learn something new. It's not working the same way, etc., etc. So there's a period of discombobulation, if you will. But the new programming for the mind that you can write in your own words, I'll give you a few, but honestly, the most powerful thing always is your own words in this. So you can write, I am, and then complete. I am an infinite being of glorious light, and I live as a blessing to myself and others. That's pretty good. I just made that up. And so what you're doing when your mind starts to say, oh, you really shouldn't try that, or you shouldn't go there, or that's too, you're being too big for your britches, or whatever the old tape is, it needs to be immediately replaced with your new operating system. Because the reality is, in 2020, there is an extraordinary amount of light and help. It's floating right here, shall we say, in your beautiful, beautiful destiny. It's available to each and every person, regardless of any other concerns that you might have. And what it requires is this crown chakra moving into the soul star chakra where this destiny resides and saying, I'm with you. I am an infinite being. I am an infinite being. And then you write in whatever else feels good to you around that. So perhaps in the density, your human being goes, oh, well, you know, that's a lot of work to do that. But when you replace it with, I am an infinite being. I am an infinite being, which all of you are. Now, what you're using, what you're utilizing in order to then do whatever it is you want to do or go wherever you want to go, isn't only your human energy. You're allowing all of that infinite help and energy to be a part of whatever you want to then do. And so I realize this requires a little bit of adjustment, and yet it's so simple in another way, because all that's really required is that you put into action what I know you already believe, or you wouldn't be on this call. You already know you're an infinite being. And so whatever disappointments you've felt, whatever frustrations you've felt, now it's time in 2020 to say, okay, you know, I've got a lot of experience. I have a lot of experience. And there's a destiny for me, which I don't exactly know what that is. It's not like your destiny is, oh, you're going to go and build an orphanage in India. I mean, you might. But your destiny is really a frequency of joy. Your particular frequency of joy. And it's living at that frequency as often as possible. And so what that frequency really is different for each and every person. And so sometimes you'll be out somewhere and you'll see someone, you'll think, oh man, I wish I was like her or him. All you're really doing is seeing a frequency that is appealing to you. And so then it's just to ask yourself, how could I have more of that? For instance, Samara recently recommended, and many of her Reiki students watched, a movie available on Netflix called The Call to Courage, featuring Brené Brown. Free Netflix Call to Courage, Brené Brown. Because Samara had seen this and felt how powerful it was to see a woman, a fairly well-known woman at this point, because she's written and published several books, etc., university teacher, lives in Texas, who allowed herself to be vulnerable in her talk. And the new feminine model of strength and vulnerability together is coming into its own, I'll put it that way. It's not yet perhaps as much seen and felt and heard as we would all like, but to be powerful and vulnerable, that's the ticket. And what do I mean by powerful and what do I mean by vulnerable? Powerful is being able to speak your truth. To be able to say, that works for me, that doesn't work for me, this is what I'd like, etc., etc. That's power. To say, not on my watch. To vote for whoever you feel is best. That's engaging with your power. Vulnerability that has been looked at as weakness is part of that new form of power that says, well, I'll give you an example from Samara, because some of you were kind enough to respond. A couple of days ago was the anniversary of her mother's death. And so she just very briefly wrote about that on Facebook and just said, you know, if you have any tender thoughts to share, she would appreciate it. And many of you responded. And her heart was filled not only with all of your love and outpouring, but with the fact that she said, I'm needing some tenderness. And so she got it. So it's really this wonderful way of being who you are and being powerful and vulnerable. Because the next part is what I'll call the new masculine, which is, what is it that the new feminine really wants? Well, let's see, it's a pretty long list. But we would like clean air, clean water, wonderful schools, good food, the return of justice in the world, enough for all the children, no more wars, you know, we'll just go on, right? But when we hold that as our vision, and when we say, that's what I see, that's what I see, two things happen. The masculine, which is also in each woman as well as in each man, the masculine says, oh, that's what you want. All right. Now we will go and find how that can come to pass in your particular life, which is part of your destiny. The other thing that happens is all around you, people of all ages and all backgrounds say, oh, that's what you want. And sometimes it's also, oh, listen, this is what we're working on. We want to let you know we're working on that exact issue. And you can choose to become involved in to whatever extent, you know, feels right to you. So this period of time, beginning now in 2020 and heading into the future, is the end of power over, which obviously is still doing its best to run this world. And it's being lifted by this new unification of the divine feminine, which lives in men and women, which is a vision of inclusion, community, love, etc. It's also honesty and commitment with the divine masculine, which is, oh, okay, that's what you want. Because the masculine is the doer, the feminine is the envisioner, okay? Again, that's simplifying it. So you have to know what you envision. If you want a world of peace, you have to envision a world where there's justice for all. Because people who are relegated to some kind of lesser place, right, ultimately will rebel. And that's what you're seeing in Hong Kong and all over the world, right? They're saying, no, I will not be contained in that way. And so part of what we would like you to consider is that in each of you, your destiny is a frequency of light that you already have. And it's living a life that just feels vital, engaged, happy, joyous, and peaceful. And in your own life, to recognize what is stopping you is how your mind reminds you of failure, how your mind reminds you of betrayal, how your mind reminds you how you didn't do this right and you didn't get your PhD or whatever, you know. And so you just say, you know what? I'm an infinite being and I choose to live at the frequency of love. It's really that simple. The other thing I want to say today, because I know how important it is to many of you, there is no such thing as outside abundance. So I want you to stop asking for abundance. Because when you ask for abundance, what you're saying is you don't have it. And the universe says, as you wish. So it isn't always only what you ask for. It's understanding that if you ask for something in that way, you're already leaving a gap between yourself and what you're asking for. So my prayer for you is to say, thank you for my infinite abundance. Thank you for my infinite abundance. I will allow it to be utilized in the most blessed ways. Again, whatever that is for you. Please, please, please stop doing prayers for abundance as if it was some pinnacle that you have yet to achieve. Abundance is a function, in a way, of radiance. I'm not talking about money just yet. Abundance is a function of radiance. Radiance is a function of destiny. Abundance is being so grateful and blessed for the life you already have, for the love you already have, for the friends and animals and trees and grass and all of it. That's your abundance. And the more you really sort of let yourself feel that, eat an apple and go, oh my God, this is the best apple I've ever had. Thank you, thank you, thank you that I could live in a world to have such an apple. Putting anything over there, right, leaves it over there. So as you build up your frequency and you build up this feeling of abundance, because your frequency is feeling abundant. Now, let's move to money for just a moment. Money is a function of understanding at this moment in time how the world works. I can see several of you like, what? What? What I mean by that is right now, in this exact moment in 2020, the world is based on money as a form of exchange. And so if you are not exchanging something in ways that allow you to feel that you're receiving the amount of money that you would like to have, right? Understand that what's missing is understanding what does the world want from you that has a value they're willing to pay for. Now, there's a connection between abundance and money. The more you have vitality, love, blessing, an energy of light, a sense of happiness, a sense of joy, people around you, and I mean that energetically, it could be over the internet, they're like, I want what she's having. What is it she's having? And so now many of you will become coaches and teachers because people will say, I want what she's having. And out of that comes an exchange. You take all the different things that you have learned. And for instance, like Samara teaches White Star Reiki, 25 years of learning a lot of things allows her to teach that, and people are happy to participate, and that's all great. Other people write books or coach or do other things, and that's wonderful. But if your frequency cannot sustain itself over time, it becomes sort of minimized by trading yourself for money. So I believe that by living in abundance, living an abundant life, abundant joy, abundant friends, abundant health, abundant opportunities, you're raising your frequency. And now, if money is something that is required in your life, you look around and you think, well, what is it that I have that the world could benefit from, and right now would be willing to do some sort of exchange of money for what it is that I'm offering? In the new world that will be coming, it won't be quite the same. That's why I'm saying now, in the world right now. In the new world, there'll be a lot more of people trading, and I know that's going on already. But for right now, if you need money, you have to sort of say, okay, what do I have that I'm joyous about, that is something important and beautiful that I'd like to share, and who might benefit from that? And let the money come to you with ease and grace in that way. When that begins to happen, more and more people will be living in the frequency in which all of that starts to morph into other possibilities, because money came into being out of certain requirements that people had, and a way to exchange in that way. So in 2020, your destiny and your density, the disparity can be gone by training your mind to have a new program that says, I am an infinite being of glorious light, living in, whatever you want to finish that sentence with. But I think it's important to start with, I am an infinite being. And then that's pretty good. And then adding to it, it's sort of like having a medicine bag, and life right now is challenging for many people. So you want to build up your medicine bag. Many of you use these lovely essential oils, which are wonderful. Many of you use Reiki or other energy modalities, which are wonderful. Many of you use nature and music and meditation and all of that. Wonderful. And above and beyond that, I think the connection with yourself. So when our call is done today, I would love it if you would, take out your journal, or start one if you haven't already, and write, I am an infinite being. And this year, my promise to myself is to excavate any remaining density and live my glorious destiny. That, my darlings, that I think will allow you to really, really, really feel happy and prosperous and joyous and abundant, and let the money come and go as it needs to. And it will put you in a place, I guess I would say, a frequency where miracles happen. Because a miracle is really just an adjustment between what you thought would occur and what else could occur. And so it comes from having, in a way, a miracle mind. Now for the new year, I know in a moment what we're going to do is stop the video and I'll take questions. But what I'd like to do in the last moment here is send out a prayer to each of you and to all beings everywhere. So those of you that do Reiki, if you will join me, and if you don't do Reiki, you can just raise your hands as your prayer. And just feel. And if you want to say it within yourself, you're all muted anyway. I am an infinite being, living a joyous life of blessings, of abundance, of grace, and of miracles. I live that I might not only experience it, but that I might share it and bless this world with the presence of my love and my joy and my well-being. May all beings everywhere awaken to their infinite nature and live a life of love, laughter, peace, joy, and well-being. I love you all. I'm going to stop the video in just a second, but please stay on. We'll take your questions. And so I say, namaste.